Picture this, a quiet morning in Boston suddenly shattered by a wall of sticky, thick molasses sweeping through the streets, demolishing buildings and claiming lives. Or imagine villagers in 16th century Strasbourg dancing uncontrollably for days, unable to stop until they collapsed from exhaustion. These are not scenes from a surreal movie, they are real events from history. Welcome to a journey through the pages of time like you've never experienced before. In this video, we're uncovering 50 mind-bending, unbelievable events from history that sound like they should be fiction but are 100% real. From quirky wars against animals to mysteries that baffled humanity for centuries, get ready to question everything you thought you knew about the past. So buckle up, you won't want to miss a second of these astonishing tales. Now turning to one of history's most inexplicable phenomena, the dancing plague of 1518 unfolds like something out of a strange medieval legend. In the summer of that year, in the city of Strasbourg, a woman known as Frau Trophia stepped into the street and began to dance. There was no music, no celebration, just an uncontrollable urge to move. Within days, dozens of others joined her, seemingly unable to resist the same force. They danced relentlessly, some for hours, others for days, until exhaustion or even death claimed them. The bizarre event spiraled as onlookers were both horrified and mystified. Local authorities scrambled to find a solution and initially thought the cure was more dancing. Musicians were brought in and spaces were cleared in an effort to let the afflicted dance it out. However, this only seemed to worsen the situation, with the number of participants growing and the toll mounting. Historians and scientists have debated the cause of this eerie epidemic for centuries. One popular theory points to ergot poisoning, a condition caused by consuming rye grain contaminated with a hallucinogenic fungus. This could have triggered spasms, hallucinations, and the uncontrollable behavior seen in the afflicted. Others, however, suggest it was a case of mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where stress and fear result in shared delusions or behaviors. In 1518, Strasbourg was dealing with famine, disease, and immense social pressure, making mass hysteria a plausible explanation. Regardless of the cause, the dancing plague left an indelible mark on the city and serves as a haunting reminder of how mysterious and fragile the human mind and body can be. With the echoes of this strange episode still lingering in the annals of history, the question remains, what truly drove the people of Strasbourg to dance in the shadow of destruction? Now turning to an event that sounds more like the plot of a peculiar fiction than reality, the Boston Molasses Flood of 1919 drenched the streets of the North End with both tragedy and astonishment. On a cold January afternoon, a massive storage tank containing over 2 million gallons of molasses suddenly ruptured. What followed was a tidal wave of sticky, heavy syrup cascading through the streets at an estimated speed of 35 miles per hour. Buildings were crushed, vehicles overturned, and unsuspecting pedestrians were swept away in the deluge. Tragically, 21 lives were lost and over 150 people were injured in the chaos. The sheer volume and density of the molasses made rescue efforts challenging, as even the strongest rescuers struggled to wade through the mess. The reasons behind this bizarre disaster were later uncovered during investigations, revealing that the tank's construction was riddled with flaws. The steel used was too thin, and the structure had not been adequately tested for the immense pressure it needed to withstand. This negligence was compounded by a rush to meet production demands during a time of heightened industrial activity. The flood left a lasting impact not just on Boston's streets, which reportedly smelled like molasses for weeks, but also on the future of industrial safety regulations. This disaster became a pivotal case that emphasized the importance of thorough engineering standards and corporate accountability. It remains a surreal chapter in history, illustrating how one avoidable oversight led to an unthinkable catastrophe. With the streets of Boston still echoing the sticky chaos of that day, we move forward to another mysterious and earth-shaking event. Now turning to an event that shook both the earth and the scientific community, the Tunguska Event of 1908 remains one of the most mind-boggling mysteries in modern history. In the early morning hours of June 30th, an enormous explosion rocked a remote area of Siberia near the Tunguska River. The blast was so powerful that it leveled approximately 800 square miles of forest, knocking down an estimated 80 million trees and shattering windows hundreds of miles away. Witnesses reported a massive fireball streaking across the sky, followed by a deafening boom that reverberated throughout the region. Strangely, despite the catastrophic destruction, no impact crater was found, leaving scientists to speculate about what could have caused such an event. The prevailing theory points to the airburst of a meteor or comet, which likely disintegrated before reaching the ground, releasing an astonishing amount of energy equivalent to roughly 1,000 times the power of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. However, alternative explanations have also surfaced over the years, ranging from volcanic eruptions to exotic theories involving antimatter or even extraterrestrial activity. The lack of immediate on-site investigation it took nearly 2 decades for scientists to study the area has only deepened the mystery. What is particularly fascinating is how the Tunguska event has continued to fuel scientific debate and inspire new research in planetary defense, as it serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers posed by near-Earth objects. As we ponder the lingering questions of that fateful day, the echoes of the explosion lead us to yet another curious tale from history. Now turning to another baffling moment in history, the Great London Beer Flood of 1814 stands as a surreal and oddly tragic event that is almost too strange to believe. On the 17th of October, disaster struck the Mew and Company Brewery in Tottenham Court Road, London, when a massive vat containing more than 130,000 gallons of beer suddenly burst. The force of the rupture was so immense that it caused nearby vats to collapse as well, unleashing a colossal wave of beer into the surrounding streets. This flood of frothy liquid tore through houses, demolished walls, and even swept people off their feet. Tragically, the torrent claimed the lives of 8 people, including women and children, some drowning while others were crushed under debris. It sounds absurd, a flood of beer causing destruction and death, but the aftermath was anything but humorous for those affected. In the densely populated and poverty-stricken neighborhood where the brewery was located, the flooding destroyed homes and left families grieving. Efforts to hold the brewery accountable ultimately failed, as the courts ruled the disaster an act of God, leaving survivors without compensation. The oddity of this event has endured over the years, often recounted as a strange footnote in London's history. Yet it also highlights the dangers of industrial practices in the early 19th century, where safety concerns were often secondary to profit. And as we reflect on this bizarre cascade of beer and its sobering consequences, it is time to venture into yet another peculiar page from the past. As the next challenge unfolds, we find ourselves transported to the eerily fascinating year without a summer in 1816. Imagine a world where the sun seemed to dim and seasons were turned upside down, plunging humanity into a year of chaos. The cause of this surreal phenomenon traced back to the eruption of Mount Tambora in what is now Indonesia. This catastrophic event was one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history, sending vast amounts of ash and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The result was a veil of volcanic particles that shrouded the Earth, reflecting sunlight and causing global temperatures to plummet by several degrees. The effects were astonishing and devastating. Crops failed across Europe, North America, and Asia as unseasonably cold temperatures, frosts, and incessant rains ruined harvests. Famine took hold in many regions, with desperate communities struggling to survive as food supplies dwindled. Horses, a primary means of transportation at the time, had to be slaughtered for food, leading to the invention of bicycles as an alternative. The bizarre weather patterns didn't just affect agriculture, they also left a mark on culture. In the gloomy summer of 1816, a group of writers found themselves confined indoors at a lakeside villa in Switzerland due to the unrelenting rain and cold. Among them was Mary Shelley, who used this dark and stormy setting to craft the iconic novel Frankenstein, a tale that reflected the unease and uncertainty of the world around her. This strange year reminds us of nature's immense power and its ability to shape history in profound and unpredictable ways. With the year without a summer behind us, let us now explore another chapter filled with bewildering events and extraordinary consequences. As the next chapter of our journey unfolds, we step into the shadows of one of history's most infamous episodes, the Salem witch trials of 1692. Picture a small Puritan community in colonial Massachusetts gripped by a wave of fear and hysteria so intense that it led to accusations, trials, and executions based on little more than suspicion and superstition. It all began with a group of young girls displaying strange and unexplainable behaviors, convulsions, fits, and bizarre outbursts. The devout townsfolk, searching for answers, turned to the supernatural, believing these events to be the work of witches. What followed was a cascade of paranoia. Neighbors turned against one another as accusations of witchcraft spiraled out of control. The accused faced chilling interrogations and trials, often with little hope of proving their innocence. Methods to extract confessions or evidence included spectral testimony, where accusers claimed to see the spirits of witches tormenting them, a practice that would never stand in any legitimate court of law today. In the end, 20 people were executed and many others languished in prison, their lives forever stained by the baseless allegations. The Salem witch trials serve as a harrowing reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria, blind faith, and the breakdown of reason. As this dark chapter closes, we now turn our attention to another strange and unexpected conflict that erupted over an incident as trivial as a dog crossing a border. Now turning to a peculiar and almost comical footnote in history, we arrive at the War of the Stray Dog, an event so improbable it feels like a fable. In the year 1925, tensions between Greece and Bulgaria were already simmering due to unresolved territorial disputes, but no one could have predicted that a simple dog would spark an international conflict. It all began when a Greek soldier's dog wandered across the border into Bulgarian territory. The soldier, chasing after his pet, inadvertently crossed the boundary line, an act that was met with hostility from Bulgarian border guards. In the escalating confusion, shots were fired and tragically, the Greek soldier was killed. This seemingly minor incident quickly spiraled into a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Outraged by the death of their soldier, Greece launched a military retaliation, invading Bulgarian territory in what came to be known as the War of the Stray Dog. The situation escalated to absurdity with the League of Nations, a precursor to the United Nations, stepping in to mediate the conflict. They ultimately ruled in favor of Bulgaria and ordered Greece to withdraw and pay reparations. While this bizarre episode might bring a wry smile today, it underscores the precariousness of international relations, where even the smallest spark can ignite a dangerous blaze. With this peculiar tale behind us, we now journey into the eerie skies of 1942, where unexplained lights over Los Angeles turned into a night of chaos and speculation. Now turning to the eerie skies of 1942, we find ourselves in Los Angeles during a tense time in World War II. On a night in February, the city was thrown into chaos when reports of unidentified objects in the sky triggered mass panic. Anti-aircraft defenses were activated, and searchlights scanned the heavens as sirens blared across the city. Believing they were under attack, the military unleashed a barrage of firepower into the night sky. For hours, chaos reigned as thousands of rounds were fired, but when the dust settled, no wreckage or evidence of enemy planes was ever found. The event became known as the Battle of Los Angeles, an incident that has baffled historians and conspiracy theorists ever since. Some believe it was a false alarm caused by misidentified weather balloons or reconnaissance planes, while others suggest it was something far more mysterious, such as a visit from extraterrestrial beings. The lack of concrete answers has only fueled speculation, making this one of the most enigmatic and debated moments in modern history. And from this bewildering night of lights and mystery, we now shift our focus to the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains, where in 1959, a group of hikers met a fate that remains one of the chilling, unsolved mysteries of all time. Now turning to the frigid and remote Ural Mountains in 1959, we encounter the harrowing and perplexing tale of the Dyatlov Pass incident. A group of 9 experienced hikers set out on what was supposed to be a challenging but routine expedition. However, their journey ended in tragedy when their lifeless bodies were discovered under bizarre and unexplainable circumstances. Their tent had been slashed open from the inside, and they appeared to have fled into the freezing wilderness without proper clothing or footwear despite sub-zero temperatures. The condition of their bodies only deepened the mystery. Some showed signs of blunt force trauma, fractured bones, and even internal injuries comparable to a car crash. Yet there were no external wounds to explain these injuries. Strangest of all, traces of radiation were found on some of their clothing. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged to explain their fate. Some suggest an avalanche forced them to flee their tent in a panic, while others point to infrasound-induced paranoia, military testing, or even extraterrestrial involvement. Despite numerous investigations and expert analyses, no definitive explanation has ever been found. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most chilling and enduring mysteries in modern history, a haunting puzzle that continues to spark debate and speculation. From these icy and enigmatic slopes, let us journey now to the curious streets of 1828 Nuremberg, where a young boy with an unbelievable story emerged, leaving behind another unsolved riddle that has captivated imaginations for centuries. Now turning to the curious streets of 1828 Nuremberg, we discover the mysterious case of Kaspar Hauser, a boy who seemingly appeared out of nowhere, sparking intrigue and speculation that endures to this day. One spring evening, a teenage boy dressed in ragged clothes was found wandering the streets, barely able to walk or speak, carrying only a letter addressed to a local military officer. He claimed to have spent his entire life confined in a dark cell, with no knowledge of the outside world or even his own identity. The letter provided few details, stating that the boy's caretaker had taught him nothing of normal human life, leaving his origins an enigma. As Kaspar began to learn to communicate, he recounted strange and fragmented memories that hinted at noble lineage or perhaps a deeper conspiracy. His peculiar behavior and childlike innocence fascinated the people of Nuremberg, but his story took a darker turn when he became the target of repeated mysterious attacks. Tragically, Kaspar's short, enigmatic life ended with his death from a stab wound in 1833 under suspicious circumstances. To this day, theories abound. Was he the lost heir to a royal family, a victim of foul play, a skilled impostor, or something even more inexplicable? The case of Kaspar Hauser remains an unsolved historical riddle, a tale that blurs the lines between fact and fiction. With this haunting puzzle lingering in our minds, let us now turn to the volcanic shores of Cameroon in 1986, where an invisible and deadly force erupted, taking the lives of over 1,000 people in a single terrifying night. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we step away from the streets of Nuremberg and head to the volcanic terrain of Cameroon in 1986, where an unthinkable and invisible disaster struck without warning. Lake Nyos, a serene body of water nestled in the lush hills of the region, became the epicenter of a catastrophic event that would claim the lives of over 1,700 people and countless livestock in just one night. What seemed like a peaceful lake concealed a deadly secret beneath its surface, a buildup of carbon dioxide gas trapped by the weight of the water. On the fateful evening of August 21, a sudden and mysterious trigger caused the lake to release this enormous, suffocating cloud of gas that swept silently through the surrounding valleys. Within minutes, life in its path was extinguished as the odorless and colorless gas displaced oxygen, leaving victims with little chance to escape. The sheer scale and speed of the tragedy were overwhelming, and survivors reported haunting scenes of villages eerily silent with no signs of life. Scientists have since identified this phenomenon as a limnic eruption, a rare and little understood natural disaster. The Lake Nyos disaster raised urgent questions about the potential dangers of other volcanic lakes around the world and spurred efforts to develop safety measures like degassing systems to prevent future tragedies. However, the haunting memory of that silent night lingers, a stark reminder of how our world still holds forces beyond our control or full understanding. Moving forward, let us delve into the eerie and unsettling phenomenon that gripped Europe centuries earlier, a deadly dancing mania that defied explanation and left communities bewildered. As the next chapter of history unfolds, we step into the chilling events of Europe in the late 1400s, where an inexplicable and macabre phenomenon spread across communities, leaving everyone baffled and terrified. Known as the Dancing Plague of 1518, this bizarre episode began in the city of Strasbourg, in what is now modern-day France. It started innocently enough with one woman stepping out into the streets, moving to an unheard rhythm, her body seemingly compelled by an unstoppable force. But within days, dozens joined her, their movements frantic and unrelenting. This was not joyful dancing, it was anguished, uncontrollable, and for many, deadly. People collapsed from exhaustion, dehydration, or even heart failure, yet the dancing continued as if some invisible grip held them captive. Understandably, panic and confusion spread. Records show that local authorities turned to unusual solutions, including hiring musicians to encourage the dancing, hoping it would burn itself out. Theories of the time ranged from divine punishment to curses or possession. Modern experts, however, offer various explanations, such as ergot poisoning caused by a psychoactive fungus found in rye bread, or mass hysteria triggered by extreme stress and hardship in the region. Whatever the cause, the dancing plague remains one of history's strangest unsolved mysteries, a haunting reminder of how little we sometimes understand the human mind and body. As we leave behind the unsettling spectacle of uncontrollable movement, our journey takes us to early 20th century Boston, where an entirely different kind of disaster unfolded, one involving an unlikely and sticky culprit, a tidal wave of molasses. Now turning to an earlier and equally mystifying episode, we find ourselves in the year 1374, when another wave of dancing mania gripped Europe. This outbreak, predating the events in Strasbourg by nearly 150 years, unfolded across regions in what are now Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Just as in the later case, individuals seemed overtaken by an uncontrollable urge to dance. Villagers reported seeing groups of people, sometimes numbering in the hundreds, swaying, leaping, and spinning in a feverish delirium, often to the point of collapse or death. The accounts from this period share eerie similarities with the dancing plague of 1518's spontaneous onset, mass participation, and the grim toll it took on its victims. Yet there were notable differences as well. The 1374 outbreak was even more widespread, affecting multiple regions almost simultaneously. Additionally, historical records from this time often tie the phenomenon to vivid religious themes. Many victims were said to cry out the names of saints or experience visions while entranced in their frenzied movements. Some communities even believed these manias were caused by divine wrath or demonic possession, prompting processions and rituals to seek spiritual intervention. Modern theories about this earlier outbreak mirror those of the later one, with suggestions of ergot poisoning or psychological contagion spurred by the immense social and economic strain of the era, such as famine, plague, and political unrest. However, the lack of detailed records from this period complicates efforts to fully understand what transpired. The 1374 dancing mania remains a haunting prelude to the events of 1518, a chilling reminder that history often echoes itself in strange and unfathomable ways. As we piece together the fragments of these dark episodes, we move onward to explore yet another moment in history where the bizarre took center stage. This time, in early 20th century Boston, we unravel the sticky chaos of the Great Molasses Flood. Moving forward, we delve into the enigma of the Voynich Manuscript, an extraordinary medieval artifact that has confounded scholars and cryptographers for centuries. This perplexing manuscript, believed to date back to the early 15th century, is composed of over 200 pages filled with an unknown script and peculiar illustrations. The writing, arranged in flowing lines and paragraphs, has yet to be deciphered as it does not match any known language. Even its peculiar alphabet remains a complete mystery. As for the manuscript's illustrations, they are equally baffling. Strange plants that appear to exist nowhere in the natural world, charts resembling astrological diagrams, and peculiar depictions of naked figures in what seem to be non-existent landscapes only enhance the sense of wonder and bewilderment surrounding this book. The origins of the Voynich manuscript are shrouded in uncertainty. It is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a rare book dealer who rediscovered it in 1912, but its earlier history is murky at best. Some evidence suggests it was once owned by the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II in the 16th century, who reportedly paid a fortune for it, believing it to be the work of the English philosopher Roger Bacon. Others have speculated that it was created by an unknown alchemist or a medieval hoaxer. Despite its puzzling content, theories about the manuscript's purpose abound. Some believe it is a medical or herbal guide, possibly written in code to protect its secrets. Others have argued that it is an elaborate hoax, though the sheer complexity of the writing and illustrations seems to challenge such a notion. In recent decades, advances in technology have led to renewed efforts to crack its code. Artificial intelligence and statistical analysis have been applied to the text, but the manuscript continues to defy explanation. Each attempt to decipher it only deepens its mystique, leaving experts, historians, and casual observers alike captivated by its secrets. The Voynich manuscript remains one of history's most enduring mysteries, a fascinating relic that bridges the realms of art, science, and the unknown. As we leave behind the cryptic pages of this manuscript, we now shift our focus to a bizarre and comical chapter in history, Australia's Great Emu War of the 1930s. Now turning to one of the most peculiar conflicts in modern history, we unravel the tale of Australia's Great Emu War of the early 1930s. This remarkably strange episode began in the state of Western Australia, where farmers were struggling with an unexpected adversary: tens of thousands of emus. These large, flightless birds, native to Australia, had migrated to the farmlands in search of food, particularly targeting crops that were crucial to farmers recovering from the economic hardships of the Great Depression. The emus' relentless appetite and their ability to outwit attempts to scare them off quickly turned them from a nuisance into a full-blown agricultural crisis. Desperate for a solution, the farmers turned to the Australian government, which astonishingly decided to deploy military resources to handle the emu invasion. Enter Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery, who led the charge against the feathered foes. Armed with soldiers and machine guns, the operation aimed to eradicate the emu population and protect the farmlands. However, what followed was nothing short of a comedy of errors. The emus, despite their size, proved to be surprisingly elusive. They scattered into smaller groups, making them difficult targets for the soldiers' weaponry. On one occasion, a machine gun jammed mid-operation, allowing the emus to escape unharmed. In another instance, a truck-mounted gun was employed, but the uneven terrain rendered it ineffective. These highly adaptable birds seemed one step ahead, evading every tactic the military threw at them. After nearly a month of effort, only a few hundred emus had been killed, while the majority continued to roam freely, leaving crops as vulnerable as ever. Major Meredith famously remarked on the resilience of the birds, noting their ability to withstand machine gun fire and likening them to tanks. Ultimately, the campaign was deemed a failure and abandoned. The Great Emu War ended not with a triumphant victory, but with the emus standing their ground, earning their place in history as the unlikely victors of this bizarre conflict. This curious chapter reflects both the ingenuity and absurdity of human responses to unexpected challenges, reminding us that even the best-laid plans can go hilariously awry. With feathers left to settle, we next turn our attention to the chilling mystery of the Mary Celeste, a ghost ship found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean in the late 19th century. Now turning to the eerie enigma of the Mary Celeste, we set sail into one of history's most enduring maritime mysteries. In 1872, this American merchant brigantine was discovered adrift in the Atlantic Ocean, completely intact but utterly abandoned. The ship was found by the crew of the Dei Gratia, a British vessel, who noted that while the Mary Celeste's cargo of denatured alcohol was largely untouched and there were no signs of violence or foul play, the entire crew was inexplicably missing. Even more perplexing, the ship appeared seaworthy, with its sails partially set and sufficient provisions on board for several more months of travel. So, what could have led the crew to vanish without a trace? Over the years, countless theories have emerged to explain this chilling riddle. Some suggest piracy, claiming that marauders may have attacked the vessel, though the absence of theft or damage weakens this argument. Others point to the possibility of mutiny amongst the crew, but again, the lack of evidence for violence raises doubts. Another hypothesis revolves around a catastrophic accident involving the ship's cargo. Denatured alcohol is highly volatile, and some believe that the crew abandoned ship in panic after a possible explosion or leakage, even though no burns or structural damage were reported. Then there are the supernatural interpretations, with whispers of ghostly apparitions, curses, or even sea monsters capturing imaginations over the years. Modern researchers have also explored more scientific explanations, including rogue waves or powerful storms sweeping the crew overboard. Some even theorize a phenomenon known as waterspouts, which are tornado-like whirlwinds on the ocean that could have caused chaos and panic. Despite these investigations, no theory has been able to fully account for the condition of the Mary Celeste when it was discovered, nor explain why the crew would leave a functional ship in the middle of the open sea. The Mary Celeste continues to both baffle and intrigue historians, sailors, and mystery enthusiasts to this day. Its story serves as a haunting reminder of the vast unknowns of the ocean and the fragility of human existence in its relentless expanse. As we leave the ghost ship drifting in the fog of speculation, our next tale takes us from the high seas to a chaotic battlefield, where a bizarre and tragic misunderstanding led to one of the most absurd battles in history. Now turning to the absurd chaos of the Battle of Karansebes, we find ourselves on the night of one of the most baffling military blunders in history. It was the year 1788, and during the Austro-Turkish War, the Austrian army, composed of soldiers from various nationalities and languages, set up camp near the town of Karansebes in modern-day Romania. The events unfolded in a way that is almost too bizarre to believe. As some Austrian scouts ventured ahead to survey the area, they encountered local traders offering alcohol. Eager for a reprieve from the hardships of war, the scouts purchased the liquor and began drinking. Soon, more soldiers arrived and demanded their share, leading to an argument that escalated rapidly. In the confusion, someone shouted about an impending Turkish attack, and panic spread like wildfire. The drunken soldiers, unable to see clearly in the darkness, mistook their fellow troops for the enemy and began firing. The chaos multiplied as sections of the army, hearing the gunfire and the shouts of Turks, assumed they were under attack and joined the fray. Language barriers among the diverse troops only exacerbated the situation, and orders were either misunderstood or ignored. In the confusion, some officers commanded a retreat, which only intensified the disarray as soldiers trampled over each other in their desperation to flee. Cannons were accidentally turned on their own lines, adding to the carnage. By the time the chaos subsided, hundreds of Austrian soldiers were either dead or injured, all without a single Turkish soldier in sight. This tragicomic misadventure became a somber footnote in military history, illustrating how fear and miscommunication can spiral into disaster. The Battle of Karansebes remains a darkly humorous reminder of the importance of discipline and clear communication on the battlefield. As we leave this chaotic scene behind, our journey takes us to a sun-drenched beach in California, where a sealed barrel with a ghastly surprise set the stage for an enduring mystery. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we arrive at the intriguing Manhattan Beach mystery of 1913. On a seemingly ordinary day, a sealed barrel was discovered washed up on the golden shores of California's Manhattan Beach. Inside this barrel was not treasure or cargo from a shipwreck, but something far more chilling, a human skeleton dressed immaculately in a tuxedo. The bizarre nature of this find immediately captured public attention, raising countless questions. Who was this person? Why was the body placed inside a barrel? And perhaps most puzzling of all, how and why did it end up on the beach? Investigators at the time were baffled, as there was little evidence to go on. No reports of a missing person matched the description, and the pristine condition of the tuxedo suggested it had been preserved carefully, leading many to suspect foul play. Theories began to swirl. Some believed the skeleton belonged to a victim of organized crime, as barrels were a known modus operandi for disposing of bodies in certain criminal circles. Others speculated it was an elaborate hoax or even the remains of someone who had fallen victim to a tragic accident and was placed in the barrel as a makeshift coffin. Despite numerous investigations and sensational media coverage, the identity of the skeleton and the true story behind its journey remain an enigma to this day. The Manhattan Beach mystery stands as one of those haunting tales that lingers in the public imagination, offering more questions than answers. As the waves washed away the last traces of this eerie scene, our journey moves toward another puzzling disappearance, this time involving not one but 5 individuals lost in the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. As the next chapter unfolds, we find ourselves in Fayetteville, West Virginia, on Christmas Eve of 1945. It was a night filled with festive cheer for the Sodder family, yet it would soon descend into one of the most puzzling and haunting mysteries of the 20th century. The Sodder family home caught fire in the early hours of the morning, and while the parents and 4 of the 9 children escaped to safety, 5 children were believed to have perished in the blaze. What makes this tragedy so unsettling is that after the fire burned itself out, no remains of the children were ever found. Not a single bone, fragment, or trace was recovered, something that perplexed investigators and fueled suspicions among the Sodder family. Adding to the mystery were several peculiar events leading up to the fire. The father, George Sodder, had been outspoken about his political views, which had earned him enemies in the community. In the weeks before the fire, strange occurrences plagued the family. A man attempting to sell them life insurance ominously warned that their house would go up in smoke, and unusual behavior was noticed around their home. On the night of the fire, a ladder that was crucial for escape was mysteriously missing from its usual spot, and their phone line had been deliberately cut. The Sodders became convinced that the fire had been a cover-up for a more sinister plot. Over the years, the family tirelessly pursued the truth, even erecting a billboard along the highway displaying photos of the missing children and a plea for information. Sightings of the children were reported, letters were sent, and theories emerged suggesting they may have been kidnapped and taken far from their hometown. Despite these efforts, no conclusive evidence ever surfaced. The case remains open to this day, an enduring tale of loss, resilience, and unanswered questions. As we leave behind the flickering embers of the Sodder mystery, our journey next takes us to a phenomenon that is equally perplexing, where a persistent and puzzling sound has left an entire town searching for answers: the Taos hum. Now turning to the quiet desert town of Taos, New Mexico, we encounter a mystery that hums through the air quite literally. Known as the Taos hum, this persistent low-frequency humming sound has baffled residents and researchers alike since the early 1990s. It is a sound that only a small percentage of the population claims to hear, yet its impact has been profound. Described as a faint droning noise like the hum of distant machinery, it has been reported to cause sleeplessness, anxiety, and even headaches in those who can perceive it. What makes the phenomenon all the more perplexing is that scientific investigations have struggled to pinpoint its origin. Acoustic experts have scoured the area for any identifiable source, such as industrial equipment, power lines, or natural geological activity, but no definitive explanation has ever been found. Some theories suggest that the Taos hum could be tied to infrasound, frequencies too low for most human ears to detect, possibly caused by wind patterns, seismic activity, or even atmospheric phenomena. Others have ventured into more unconventional territory, proposing that the hum might stem from secret military technologies or extraterrestrial activity. Beyond the scientific realm, the hum has left a deep cultural and psychological imprint on the town. Residents who hear it often describe feeling isolated, as if they are trapped in a reality others cannot perceive. The hum has even sparked debates about whether its origin lies in the external environment or within the sensitive hearing and minds of those who experience it. Some researchers suggest that it could be a result of tinnitus, a medical condition where individuals perceive non-existent sounds, while others believe it may be a form of mass hysteria spurred by suggestion and shared belief. Whatever its source, the Taos hum continues to intrigue and puzzle, its low-frequency vibrations serving as a reminder of how much remains unexplained in our world. Moving forward, we shift our focus to the skies above, where a truly strange phenomenon has fallen from the heavens, quite literally raining animals. Now turning to one of the strangest weather phenomena ever recorded, let us explore the perplexing instances of animals falling from the sky. Yes, you heard that right. Throughout history, people have reported fish, frogs, and even spiders raining down during storms or seemingly out of nowhere. One of the earliest documented cases dates back to ancient Greece, where the philosopher Heraclides wrote about frogs descending from the heavens. Fast forward to more recent times, and similar events have been reported worldwide. In 1873, newspaper accounts detailed a deluge of frogs that showered down on Kansas City during a heavy rainstorm. In 2009, residents of Ishikawa Prefecture in Japan were baffled as they found hundreds of tadpoles scattered across their streets after an intense weather event. And let us not forget the bizarre fish rain that occurred in Honduras, known locally as lluvia de peces, or rain of fish, which is said to happen almost annually and has even become a part of the region's folklore. But how could such a thing happen? Scientists have proposed a few intriguing explanations. One theory suggests that waterspouts, which are tornado-like columns of air that form over bodies of water, might be responsible. These powerful vortices could suck up small aquatic creatures and carry them high into the atmosphere, only to later drop them miles away. Another possibility is strong updrafts within thunderstorms, which may lift lightweight animals like frogs or small fish into the clouds and deposit them elsewhere as precipitation falls. However, these theories can only explain some, but not all, of these so-called animal rains. For instance, there are cases where the animals seem to have fallen without any associated storm activity, leaving room for alternative explanations. Some have speculated about migratory bird behavior gone awry, while others lean toward more metaphysical or spiritual interpretations. Beyond the scientific curiosity, these events evoke a sense of wonder and mystery, capturing the imagination of those who witness them and inspiring countless stories, legends, and even superstitions. Whether we see them as rare natural anomalies or signs of something greater at play, the reign of animals reminds us of the incredible, unpredictable, and sometimes unexplainable forces that shape our world. Moving forward, we descend from the sky to the earth, where the medieval village of Woolpit plays host to one of history's most enduring mysteries, the tale of the Green Children. Descending to the quaint medieval village of Woolpit in England, we encounter a tale that has puzzled and fascinated historians for centuries, the story of the Green Children. As the account goes, sometime during the 12th century, two young siblings, a boy and a girl, were discovered near Woolpit, seemingly out of nowhere. What set them apart and immediately captured the villagers' attention was their vibrant green skin, an otherworldly hue that sparked both curiosity and suspicion. The children spoke an unknown language and initially refused to eat any food offered to them, surviving only on raw beans until they gradually adapted to the local diet. Over time, their green tint faded, but the mystery surrounding their origins only deepened. When the surviving girl eventually learned the local language, her explanation of their homeland added an even stranger twist. She described coming from a place she called St. Martin's Land, a dimly lit world where the sun never shone brightly and everything was cloaked in a permanent twilight. According to her, they had been tending their father's livestock when they followed a glowing light and somehow found themselves in unfamiliar surroundings. Interpretations of this story have varied wildly over the years. Some have suggested the children were refugees from a neighboring region, possibly Flemish immigrants, whose green skin might have been caused by malnutrition, specifically a condition known as chloroses, which was common in the era. Others speculate that the story represents a garbled retelling of an actual historical event, distorted by time and imagination. Of course, there are those who see the tale as evidence of something far more extraordinary. Could it be that the Green Children of Woolpit hailed from another dimension, as some theories suggest? Or might their origins lie in folklore, serving as a moral or allegorical tale intertwined with medieval beliefs about the supernatural? Whatever the truth may be, the story of the Green Children continues to intrigue, leaving us with more questions than answers. As history marches forward, it is stories like these that remind us of the blurred lines between fact and legend, and how much of our past remains veiled in mystery. With this enchanting enigma lingering in mind, let us now delve into another curious chapter of history, one that begins not with people, but with an ancient artifact shrouded in secrecy and coded language, the Voynich Manuscript. Now turning to the icy peaks of the Alps, a stunning discovery in 1991 unveiled what would become one of the most intriguing and eerie archaeological finds in modern history, Otzi the Iceman. Found frozen in a glacier near the border of Austria and Italy, Otzi's remarkably preserved 5,300-year-old remains offered an unprecedented glimpse into the life of a man from the Copper Age. From his clothing and tools to the contents of his stomach, Otzi became a scientific marvel, providing a treasure trove of insights into early human life. However, as researchers and adventurers flocked to study him, a sinister narrative began to emerge. Some claimed that Otzi came with more than just historical significance, he came with a curse. Over the years, an unsettling pattern of misfortune has been associated with those who were directly involved in recovering or studying the mummy. A series of bizarre deaths, often sudden and unexpected, sparked whispers of a supernatural connection. For example, Helmut Simon, the man who originally discovered Otzi, tragically died in a freak accident while hiking. Then there was Konrad Spindler, a prominent archaeologist who examined Otzi, passing away not long after, reportedly joking about the so-called curse in his final days. Several others linked to the Iceman's discovery and analysis have met untimely or unusual ends, fueling speculation that Otzi's preserved body may have brought with it a legacy of misfortune. But is there really a curse, or could these deaths simply be coincidences magnified by our tendency to connect unrelated events? Some scientists and skeptics argue that the perceived curse is a result of confirmation bias, a psychological phenomenon where people focus on evidence that supports their beliefs and ignore evidence that contradicts them. After all, curses are a compelling concept deeply rooted in human culture and superstition. While the idea of a vengeful ancient spirit may spark imaginations, rational explanations suggest the dangers of working in unpredictable fields like archaeology, where accidents and health risks are unfortunately not uncommon. Whether coincidence or curse, Otzi's story remains captivating, blending the marvel of ancient history with the allure of the mysterious. As we ponder the truth behind this chilling tale, let us uncover yet another enigma from the pages of history, this time one that has baffled scholars for centuries with its cryptic illustrations and undeciphered text, the Voynich Manuscript. Now turning to the sweltering summer of 1858 in London, an event unfolded that was both revolting and revolutionary: the Great Stink. That year, an oppressive heatwave descended upon the city, amplifying a problem that had been brewing for decades. The Thames River, which had long served as an open sewer, became a noxious, churning cesspool of human and industrial waste. The stench was so overpowering that it seeped through the city, assaulting the senses of all who dared to venture near the riverbanks. Parliament, situated right beside the Thames, was not spared from the foul odor. Lawmakers became so desperate that some attempted to douse their offices with chemicals and soak curtains in lime chloride, all in a futile effort to mask the smell. Yet the crisis brought more than discomfort. It posed a serious public health threat, as cholera outbreaks and other waterborne diseases were all too common in this era of poor sanitation. But here's where history takes a fascinating turn. The Great Stink galvanized the government into action, leading to one of the most pivotal advancements in public infrastructure. Civil engineer Joseph Bazalgette was commissioned to design and oversee the construction of a modern sewer system capable of diverting waste away from the city and into treatment areas downstream. This massive undertaking not only alleviated the immediate crisis but also laid the groundwork for urban sanitation as we know it today. The project drastically reduced disease rates and improved the overall quality of life in London, showcasing how even the most grotesque challenges can spark transformative progress. The Great Stink may have been a grim reminder of human negligence, but it also stands as a testament to ingenuity and the power of necessity driving change. And speaking of historical events that redefine the course of societal norms, let us uncover the story of one of the most enigmatic and debated occurrences in modern history, the Phoenix Lights of 1997. Now turning to the spring night of March 13th in 1997, the skies over Phoenix, Arizona became the stage for one of the most widely reported UFO sightings in modern history. Known as the Phoenix Lights, this extraordinary event began with a string of mysterious lights forming a massive V-shaped pattern stretching across the skyline. Witnessed by thousands of people, the event left both residents and the broader world grappling with questions about what they had just seen. The lights were described as silent, orderly, and astonishingly large, with some claiming the structure they were attached to was the size of multiple football fields. While many were awestruck by the unusual sight, others were deeply unsettled, wondering if they had witnessed something not of this earth. In the weeks that followed, official explanations began to circulate. The United States Air Force stated that the lights were flares dropped during a military training exercise at the Barry Goldwater Range. They explained the formation as planes moving in sequence, creating the illusion of a singular, massive object. However, this explanation did little to convince the thousands of eyewitnesses who remained adamant that what they saw was unlike anything they had ever experienced before. The debate over the Phoenix Lights fueled countless discussions about extraterrestrial life, as well as government transparency regarding unidentified aerial phenomena. Even decades later, the event continues to captivate believers and skeptics alike, inspiring documentaries, books, and even fictional portrayals. Was it a carefully orchestrated military maneuver, a natural atmospheric anomaly, or perhaps a genuine encounter with visitors from beyond our planet? The mystery remains, and with it, the Phoenix Lights have secured their place as a defining moment in UFO lore. Moving forward, let us delve into a tale that takes us back to 16th century England, where the enigmatic disappearance of the Roanoke colony still haunts historical records. As the next chapter of our journey unfolds, we travel to the year 1924 in South Africa, where a discovery shocked the scientific world and forever changed our understanding of human evolution. A quarry worker uncovered a small skull embedded in a block of limestone near the village of Tong. This skull, later identified as belonging to a young child of about 3 years, was something the world had never seen before. Dubbed the tongue child, this fossil belonged to a species called Australopithecus africanus, a distant ancestor of modern humans that lived approximately 2.5 million years ago. What made this discovery groundbreaking was its blend of human-like and ape-like features. The structure of the child's skull, particularly the relatively large brain size compared to its small stature, suggested it was neither fully human nor fully ape, but something in between. This was one of the earliest pieces of evidence supporting the idea that early humans evolved in Africa, rather than Europe or Asia as many had previously assumed. The tongue child provided critical insights into how our ancient ancestors began to adapt to life on the ground, transitioning away from a purely tree-dwelling existence. It hinted at changes in posture and brain development that would eventually pave the way for modern humans. Yet mysteries linger. How did this young individual meet its end? Scientists speculate the child may have fallen prey to a large bird of prey, based on markings found on the skull consistent with talon strikes. This grim possibility offers a stark window into the harsh realities faced by our ancient relatives. Even today, the tongue child remains a symbol of the vast unknowns in human history, a small piece of a puzzle that grows more complex with each new discovery. As we step away from this remarkable moment in South Africa, our timeline carries us to another enduring enigma, the baffling disappearance of 5 Navy bombers during a routine training mission in the infamous Bermuda Triangle. Now turning to one of the most enduring mysteries in American history, we find ourselves on Roanoke Island in the late 1500s. It was here, in what is now North Carolina, that a group of more than 100 English settlers vanished without a trace, leaving behind a puzzle that has baffled historians and archaeologists for centuries. In 1587, the Roanoke colony was established under the leadership of John White. Shortly after, White returned to England for supplies, but his journey was delayed for 3 long years due to the outbreak of war with Spain. When White finally made it back to Roanoke in 1590, he found the colony completely deserted. Buildings were dismantled, possessions were gone, and the settlers themselves had disappeared. The only clue was a single word carved into a wooden post, Croatoan. This cryptic inscription has sparked endless speculation. Did the colonists integrate peacefully with the Croatoan people, a nearby indigenous group? Did they succumb to starvation, disease, or conflict, or were they perhaps lost at sea in an attempt to flee their precarious situation? Some theories veer into the paranormal, suggesting anything from extraterrestrial abduction to curses. what adds to the mystique is the total lack of conclusive physical evidence. Despite numerous efforts, no definitive remains of the settlers or their belongings have ever been found, leaving their fate shrouded in mystery. This disappearance is not just a historical enigma, but a narrative that continues to capture the imagination, reminding us how the past can be filled with questions that defy easy answers. With this enduring puzzle fresh in our minds, we now shift to a peculiar and chilling tale from Illinois in 1944. Where a series of strange gas attacks left a small town in a state of panic. Now turning to the eerie events that unfolded in Mattoon, Illinois, during the late summer of 1944, we encounter one of the most peculiar and unsettling mysteries of the 20th century. Known as the Mad Gasser of Mattoon, this bizarre episode sent shockwaves through the small town as residents reported a series of mysterious gas attacks. It all began with claims from locals who said they were overcome by an unusual chemical smell in their homes, followed by symptoms like nausea, dizziness, and temporary paralysis. Panic spread quickly as more and more people came forward with similar accounts, and the media latched onto the story, dubbing the unknown culprit the Mad Gasser. Descriptions of the alleged attacker varied widely, with some witnesses claiming to have seen a shadowy figure fleeing the scene, while others suggested the gas was being released through windows or cracks in walls. Despite increased police patrols and an active investigation, no suspect was ever caught, and no physical evidence of gas or delivery devices was recovered. So, was there truly a stealthy perpetrator terrorizing Mattoon? Or could this have been a case of mass hysteria? Some experts point to psychological factors, suggesting that wartime anxiety, rumors, and media sensationalism might have amplified fears, leading to imagined symptoms and false reports. Others consider the possibility of industrial pollution, though no definitive source was identified. To this day, the Mad Gasser remains an enigma, blurring the lines between reality and collective paranoia. This strange saga reminds us of how easily fear can ripple through a community, creating a legacy of mystery that fascinates us even decades later. As we leave the shadowy streets of Mattoon behind, our journey now takes us to the vast, remote wilderness of Siberia in 1908, where a massive explosion would leave the scientific community mystified to this very day. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us delve deeper into the strange aftermath of the Tunguska explosion, an event so powerful it flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest in an instant. While scientists continue to debate the cause of the explosion, the eerie phenomena that followed have added layers of intrigue to this already baffling mystery. Local hunters and tribespeople reported witnessing bizarre animal behavior in the wake of the blast. Some spoke of reindeer herds suddenly fleeing the area, seemingly agitated by an unseen force, while others noted that surviving animals in and around the blast zone displayed unusual aggression or disorientation. Even stranger, some accounts claim that vegetation in the affected area regrew at an accelerated pace, though these observations remain speculative. Local legends flourished as the indigenous Evenki people shared stories of the god of fire descending upon the land, with some viewing the event as a divine punishment or warning. Others suggested that the explosion marked the landing of a celestial object that brought with it both destruction and mysterious energy. Over time, expeditions to the site have uncovered peculiar details, such as reports of compass needles behaving erratically as if the area retained some unexplained magnetic properties. Some visitors to the region have even claimed to feel an unexplainable sense of unease, as though the land itself remembers the trauma it endured. These tales, whether rooted in truth, lore, or a mix of both, add to the enduring mystery of Tunguska and keep the fascination alive more than a century later. As we move forward, let us now revisit another historical oddity filled with its own blend of chaos and absurdity: the infamous War of the Stray Dog in 1925, an incident that proves even the most trivial events can spark international conflict. Now turning to the curious case of the dancing plague of 1518, it is time to revisit the theories proposed to explain this baffling phenomenon and uncover why none of them have entirely solved the mystery. One of the earliest explanations, ergot poisoning, suggested that contaminated rye grain infected with a hallucinogenic mold might have caused those affected to experience uncontrollable movements similar to dancing. While this theory seemed plausible to some, it fails to account for the synchronized and highly rhythmic nature of the dancing observed, as ergot poisoning typically leads to painful convulsions rather than coordinated movements. Another popular theory proposed mass hysteria, also known as collective stress response. This explanation suggests that the townspeople, already burdened by famine, disease, and stress, might have entered a psychological state where group behavior became contagious. Yet, even this idea has its limitations. Why would this kind of stress manifest so uniquely as prolonged, even ritualistic dancing, rather than more common forms of hysteria such as fainting, weeping, or outbursts of violence? Some historians have even speculated on religious or spiritual causes, pointing to the region's deeply rooted faith and suggesting that the event could have been a collective expression of spiritual fervor or penance. However, this fails to explain the physical toll the dancing took on participants, with some continuing to dance to the point of exhaustion or even death. In recent years, modern experts have attempted to analyze the event through neurological or sociocultural lenses, but the lack of contemporary accounts and scientific records limits these efforts. Ultimately, the dancing plague remains shrouded in uncertainty, with each theory raising as many questions as it answers, and perhaps that is part of its enduring allure, the idea that some mysteries defy logic and continue to intrigue us centuries later. As we explore further, let us unravel another puzzling mystery with even stranger implications: the Voynich Manuscript, an enigmatic book that has stumped linguists, cryptographers, and historians for centuries. Moving forward, the enigmatic Voynich Manuscript continues to challenge the brightest minds of our time, but modern technology has brought new tools into the fold. One of the most intriguing advancements comes from the use of artificial intelligence, where sophisticated algorithms have been deployed to analyze the manuscript's incomprehensible text. Researchers have attempted to identify patterns, uncover potential languages or codes, and even test whether the script might be an elaborate hoax. In one notable effort, experts applied algorithms capable of recognizing linguistic structures, and while some results suggested ties to ancient languages, no definitive connection has been established. Another breakthrough came with the digital mapping of the manuscript's illustrations, revealing subtle consistencies that reinforce the idea of an intentional design rather than random scribbles. However, these analyses often lead to more ambiguity, with each discovery opening up a new set of questions. One theory posits that the manuscript could be a medicinal guide or herbal treatise, based on its extensive botanical drawings, while others see it as an entirely fictional creation intended to mystify and entertain. Despite these sophisticated tools, no universal agreement exists, leaving the Voynich manuscript as perplexing today as it was when rediscovered in the early 20th century. But perhaps this is what makes it so captivating, the blend of science and mystery beckoning us to look deeper. As we move from this textual enigma to the next peculiar chapter, let's dive into a truly strange historical tale, the Great Emu War, where humans declared war against flightless birds and somehow found themselves on the losing end. As the next chapter unfolds, modern investigations into the ghost ship Mary Celeste have shed new light on this maritime mystery, yet the core enigma remains unresolved. In recent years, researchers have revisited the ship's story, examining everything from its structural integrity to contemporary accounts of its journey. One theory suggests that the cargo of industrial alcohol on board may have been a critical factor. Some experts propose that fumes from this highly flammable substance could have built up in the hold, leading to a small but alarming explosion or flash fire. Such an event might not have left visible damage but would have been terrifying enough for the crew to abandon ship in haste. This hypothesis gained traction after experiments demonstrated that alcohol vapor could create a fiery blast with no lingering flames, offering a plausible explanation for the crew's sudden departure. Another angle explored is the possibility of a rogue wave or sudden weather phenomenon. Advocates of this theory point to the turbulent waters of the Atlantic, where freak waves can strike without warning, potentially sweeping crew members overboard or forcing them to flee to the lifeboat. Yet, this does not fully explain why the Mary Celeste was found intact with its valuable cargo untouched. Advances in underwater archaeology and maritime forensics have also allowed researchers to study the vessel's design and historical records in greater detail. These studies suggest that the ship may have had issues with stability, which could have made the crew more prone to panic if they believed the vessel was sinking. Despite these scientific efforts, no definitive proof has emerged, leaving room for wilder speculations. Some believe the crew might have been victims of piracy, despite the lack of evidence of violence or theft. Others entertain more outlandish ideas involving supernatural forces or extraterrestrial encounters. What continues to fuel the fascination with the Mary Celeste is precisely this absence of closure, a void that invites endless speculation and re-examination. With each new investigation, hope flickers that the next breakthrough might finally solve the mystery. But until that day, the Mary Celeste sails adrift in the waters of historical intrigue. Now turning to another extraordinary tale, let us explore the chaos and comedy of the Battle of Karansebes, where an army's greatest foe turned out to be itself. Now turning to the eerie corridors of ancient history, we delve into the story of the so-called Curse of King Tut's tomb, a tale that has haunted imaginations since its discovery in the early 20th century. When British archaeologist Howard Carter uncovered the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922, it was hailed as one of the greatest archaeological finds of all time. Hidden for over 3,000 years, the tomb was a treasure trove of artifacts, each more dazzling than the last, but alongside the fame and glory came whispers of a fateful curse. The rumor was sparked by the untimely deaths of several individuals linked to the excavation. Lord Carnarvon, the wealthy patron who funded the dig, died suddenly just months after the tomb was opened. His death from an infected mosquito bite led to a media frenzy, with newspapers blaming an ancient hex. Stories of flickering lights at the moment of his death and a coincidental power outage in Cairo only deepened the intrigue. Others connected to the expedition soon followed with their own misfortunes, mysterious illnesses, accidents, and deaths that seemed to strike those who dared disturb the boy king's eternal rest. While skeptics have attributed these events to coincidence, infections, or even exposure to ancient toxins within the sealed tomb, the idea of a curse took on a life of its own. The inscription reportedly found in the tomb, though its existence remains disputed, stating, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king," fanned the flames of superstition even further. Over the years, scientists have analyzed whether fungal spores, dangerous molds, or other environmental hazards in the tomb could have caused the health issues. Yet many of those involved lived long, unaffected lives, including Howard Carter himself, who died peacefully over a decade later. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the curse endures in popular culture, its allure fed by books, movies, and the human fascination with the unknown. Perhaps it is the sheer mystery of ancient Egypt, with its elaborate rituals and enigmatic hieroglyphs, that makes the curse seem plausible. Or maybe it is simply our tendency to weave the unexplained into gripping narratives. Either way, the legend of King Tut's curse continues to captivate, blurring the line between history and myth. As the sun rises on the next chapter, let us venture into the strange skies of the Phoenix Lights, where thousands witnessed an unexplained phenomenon that remains one of the most compelling UFO sightings in modern history. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, we turn our focus back to the discovery of the tongue child and the profound implications it holds for understanding the lives and development of early humans. Found in South Africa in 1924, this fossilized child's skull was groundbreaking, not just for its remarkable preservation but for what it revealed about a key transitional phase in human evolution. The tongue child belonged to a species known as Australopithecus africanus, an ancient ancestor predating the rise of modern humans. This species walked upright on two legs, a defining trait in human evolution, but retained features like a smaller brain and more ape-like facial structures. From this single discovery, scientists gleaned invaluable insights into how early hominins lived, hunted, and adapted to their environment. The skull's small size and its teeth indicated the child was likely around 3 years old at the time of its death, making it the earliest known fossil of a juvenile member of our evolutionary lineage. This find provided clues about growth patterns in early hominins, showing that they matured faster than modern humans, much like apes do today. Beyond its physical characteristics, the tongue child's fossil also painted a vivid picture of the dangers faced by early humans. Examining marks on the skull, researchers concluded it had been killed by a bird of prey, likely an eagle, showcasing how these early ancestors were deeply vulnerable to predators. This provided a stark reminder of a time when survival was a constant battle, shaping the development of intelligence, cooperation, and tool use in response to the harsh realities of life. The fossil also strengthened the understanding that human evolution did not occur in a straight line, but rather branched out into multiple forms, with Australopithecus africanus playing a pivotal role in one of those branches leading toward modern humans. Findings like these highlight how humans adapted through countless challenges over millions of years, gradually evolving traits that would eventually set humanity apart. By unveiling this ancient story embedded in stone, the tongue child fossil not only illuminates the past but also deepens our appreciation of the resilience and ingenuity that defines the human journey. Moving forward, let us now explore the mysterious skies over Phoenix, Arizona, where an unforgettable series of lights etched themselves into the annals of UFO history, sparking debates that continue to this day. Now turning to the enigmatic events of December 1945, we find ourselves in the heart of one of the Bermuda Triangle's most enduring mysteries, the disappearance of Flight 19. This squadron of 5 Navy bombers comprising 14 airmen ventured out from a Florida airbase on a routine training mission. The mission, known as Navigation Problem Number 1, should have been straightforward. It involved a practice bombing run followed by a triangular flight path that would return the planes safely to base. However, things quickly took a chilling turn. Radio transmissions from the flight revealed growing confusion among the pilots as they struggled to navigate. The squadron leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, reported that his compass had malfunctioned and that he was unsure of their location. As the minutes ticked by, the situation grew even more dire, with Taylor stating that both his compasses were out and he believed they were flying over the Florida Keys, a claim that baffled his colleagues because their planned route was nowhere near that area. Despite attempts by ground control to guide the planes back, communication became increasingly sporadic and garbled. The last known transmission was laden with tension, as Taylor indicated that the planes would continue flying until they ran out of fuel. Shortly after, all contact was lost. Adding to the mystery, a search plane deployed to find the missing squadron also disappeared without a trace, bringing the total number of lost crew members to 27. To this day, no wreckage from Flight 19 or the search plane has ever been conclusively recovered, fueling countless theories. Some suggest it was a result of navigation errors compounded by equipment failure and bad weather, while others propose more extraordinary explanations. The Bermuda Triangle has long been the subject of speculation, with ideas ranging from magnetic anomalies disrupting instruments to portals to another dimension. Theories even stretch into the realm of extraterrestrial abduction, with some convinced that the flight fell victim to alien activity, while skeptics lean toward more conventional explanations such as disorientation and fuel exhaustion. The disappearance of Flight 19 remains a powerful symbol of the Bermuda Triangle's mystique. As we leave behind the haunting echoes of those lost in this aviation enigma, let us now turn our gaze to the chilling phenomenon known as Cotard's delusion, a condition that blurs the line between reality and the haunting belief of existing in death. Now turning to the extraordinary and deeply unsettling world of Cotard's delusion, we encounter a rare psychiatric condition that defies the boundaries of human perception. Individuals afflicted with Cotard's delusion hold the unshakable belief that they are dead, do not exist, or are decomposing from within. This profound disconnect from reality can manifest in ways that are as haunting as they are baffling. The condition was first described in the late 19th century by French neurologist Jules Cotard, who encountered a woman he referred to as Mademoiselle X. She insisted that parts of her body no longer existed and that she was devoid of blood or internal organs. Convinced of her own death, she saw no reason to eat and eventually succumbed to malnutrition. Cases of Cotard's delusion have been reported across the globe, each offering a glimpse into the terrifying depths of this condition. One notable example comes from a Scottish man in the early 2000s who, after surviving a serious car accident, became convinced he had died and was trapped in a state of purgatory. He even asked his family to take him to the morgue, believing it was where he belonged. Another documented instance involves a woman who believed her flesh was rotting and that worms were consuming her body despite medical evidence to the contrary. The origins of Cotard's delusion remain a subject of intense study. The condition is often linked to severe depression, trauma, or neurological disorders, such as brain injuries or diseases like multiple sclerosis. Neuroimaging studies have suggested abnormalities in specific areas of the brain, including those responsible for processing emotions and self-awareness. These disruptions may contribute to the distorted perceptions experienced by those with the disorder. Historically, treatments for Cotard's delusion have included electroconvulsive therapy and various medications, often with mixed results. While some patients have seen improvements, the condition remains challenging to treat due to its complex interplay of psychological and neurological factors. Cotard's delusion is a stark reminder of how fragile the line between reality and perception can be, leaving both medical professionals and the general public grappling with its implications. As we step out of the shadowy realm of this rare and harrowing mental disorder, we shift our focus to another baffling mystery: the enigmatic death of Edgar Allan Poe, a literary icon whose final days are shrouded in questions as haunting as his own works. Now turning to the mysterious and tragic end of Edgar Allan Poe, we delve into a chapter of literary history that is as perplexing as it is haunting. In October of 1849, Poe was discovered delirious on the streets of Baltimore, wearing clothes that were not his own and unable to explain how he came to be in such a dire state. He was taken to a nearby hospital where he remained incoherent until his death just 4 days later. His final words, "Lord, help my poor soul," only deepened the enigma surrounding his passing. To this day, the exact cause of his death remains unknown, giving rise to numerous theories that range from plausible to downright bizarre. One of the earliest and most enduring speculations points to alcohol. Poe was known to struggle with bouts of heavy drinking, and some historians suggest that he may have succumbed to alcohol poisoning or complications from withdrawal. However, others argue against this theory, citing accounts that Poe had been sober for months leading up to his death. Another theory suggests he may have been a victim of a political practice known as couping. During elections, individuals were sometimes kidnapped, drugged, and forced to vote multiple times for a candidate, often being disguised in different clothes for each vote. Some believe Poe's disoriented state and mismatched attire align with this grim practice. Yet another possibility involves a diagnosis of rabies proposed by modern physicians who analyzed his symptoms retrospectively. Fever, confusion, and difficulty drinking water are consistent with the disease, though there is no definitive proof to confirm this hypothesis. Other theories propose that Poe could have suffered from poisoning, perhaps deliberately administered by enemies or accidentally through contaminated food or drink. Additionally, some experts speculate that Poe may have experienced a severe medical condition, such as a brain tumor or a stroke. The absence of a proper autopsy has left these questions unresolved, allowing the mystery to persist for over a century and a half. Despite the many theories, Poe's death remains an enigma, fitting for a man whose works often dwelled in the macabre and mysterious. His passing continues to capture the imagination of scholars and enthusiasts alike, ensuring that the mystery of his final days endures as a chilling footnote to his remarkable legacy. Moving forward from this literary mystery, our journey takes us to another extraordinary historical enigma, the Great Fire of London in 1666, an event that reshaped an entire city and left behind rumors as intriguing as the flames themselves. Now turning to the Great Fire of London, a calamity that forever altered the course of England's capital. In September of 1666, a small fire broke out in a bakery on Pudding Lane. What began as a seemingly manageable incident rapidly escalated into a massive inferno, consuming over 13,000 homes, nearly 90 churches, and notable landmarks including St. Paul's Cathedral. The fire burned for 4 days, leaving tens of thousands homeless and reducing much of the city to ash. While history points to the bakery as the origin, the fire's rapid spread was fueled by the city's wooden buildings, closely packed streets, and an unusually dry summer. However, the story does not end with these unfortunate circumstances. Whispers of foreign sabotage began circulating almost immediately. England was engaged in tense conflicts with both the Dutch and the French at the time, and some believed that the fire was a deliberate act of war. Rumors ran rampant, and foreigners, particularly French and Dutch immigrants, were unfairly accused and even attacked by panicked mobs. Despite no evidence supporting these claims, the paranoia added another layer of chaos to an already devastating event. Beyond the destruction, the fire led to profound changes in the city. In its wake, King Charles II oversaw efforts to rebuild London, turning devastation into an opportunity to modernize. Regulations were introduced to prevent future fires, including the use of brick and stone for construction instead of wood. St. Paul's Cathedral was rebuilt, this time designed by the celebrated architect Sir Christopher Wren, becoming a symbol of resilience and renewal. The Great Fire of London remains a defining moment in the city's history, one that emerged from tragedy but ultimately inspired transformation. As our journey through history unfolds, we now turn our attention to another story shrouded in intrigue, the Bermuda Triangle phenomenon, a mysterious region where countless disappearances continue to spark debate and capture the imagination. Now turning to the Bermuda Triangle phenomenon, a region of the Atlantic Ocean infamous for unexplained maritime and aviation disappearances. Stretching roughly between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this mysterious zone has sparked the imagination of many, earning nicknames like the Devil's Triangle. Over the decades, ships and planes have vanished here under puzzling circumstances, often without sending distress signals or leaving behind wreckage. One of the most well-known incidents was the disappearance of Flight 19 in 1945, a squadron of 5 Navy bombers that lost contact during a routine training mission. Despite extensive search efforts, neither the planes nor their 14 crew members were ever found, leading to theories of malfunction, navigational errors, and even extraterrestrial involvement. Another chilling case is the disappearance of the USS Cyclops in 1918, a massive naval cargo ship carrying over 300 people that vanished without a trace. Theories surrounding the Bermuda Triangle range from the plausible to the extraordinary. Some suggest natural phenomena like rogue waves, methane gas eruptions, or magnetic anomalies that disrupt compass readings. Others entertain more speculative ideas, including underwater alien bases, time warps, or supernatural forces. However, skeptics argue that the number of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle is not statistically unusual for such a busy region of the ocean. They point to human error, unpredictable weather, and exaggerated tales as more likely explanations. Modern investigations have debunked many of the myths, yet the Bermuda Triangle continues to hold a unique place in popular culture. From movies and books to television specials, it remains a symbol of humanity's fascination with the unknown. What lies beneath the waves of this enigmatic area may never be fully understood, but the stories it has created endure as some of history's most captivating mysteries. As we continue our exploration of bizarre events, we set our sights on another puzzling enigma, the mystery of Stonehenge, where ancient engineering meets timeless intrigue. Now turning to the mystery of Stonehenge, an ancient marvel that has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. Nestled in the English countryside, this prehistoric monument consists of massive stone circles, some weighing up to 25 tons, standing in a configuration that has sparked endless questions. How did people over 4,000 years ago manage to transport these enormous stones, some of which were quarried hundreds of miles away without the aid of modern machinery? And more intriguingly, why did they go to such lengths to construct it? Theories about the purpose of Stonehenge are as varied as they are fascinating. Some experts believe it served as a ceremonial site, possibly for rituals related to death and rebirth. Others argue it functioned as an ancient astronomical observatory, aligning with the summer and winter solstices to mark the changing seasons. There are also suggestions that it may have been a place of healing, drawing people from far and wide to seek remedies for their ailments. Beyond its purpose, the construction methods behind Stonehenge remain an equally compelling enigma. Researchers have proposed that the builders used a combination of sledges, rollers, and waterways to move the massive stones, demonstrating remarkable ingenuity and collective effort. Recent archaeological discoveries in the surrounding area have added new layers to this mystery. Evidence of nearby settlements suggests that Stonehenge was part of a larger, interconnected network of prehistoric activity. Advances in technology, such as ground-penetrating radar and three-dimensional modeling, continue to reveal hidden secrets beneath the surface, offering glimpses into the lives and intentions of the ancient people who created it. Yet, despite these breakthroughs, questions linger. Was it a religious sanctuary, a scientific instrument, or perhaps something entirely different? Stonehenge stands as a testament to human creativity and resilience, a silent witness to a civilization whose motivations we may never fully comprehend. As our journey through history's strangest events moves forward, let us unravel the story of another baffling phenomenon, the mysterious Dyatlov Pass incident, where chilling clues meet haunting speculations. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, the Tunguska Event's influence stretches far beyond scientific debate, firmly embedding itself in popular culture and captivating imaginations across the globe. The mysterious explosion of 1908 in a remote Siberian forest has served as fertile ground for countless books, movies, and even conspiracy theories. Writers of speculative fiction have often used the Tunguska incident as a backdrop for stories exploring alien encounters, secret weapons, or catastrophic experiments gone awry. Among the most famous interpretations is the idea that the explosion resulted from an extraterrestrial spacecraft crash landing on Earth. This notion has been explored in both literature and film, fueling the belief in a hidden connection between the event and intelligent life beyond our planet. In cinema, the Tunguska Event has inspired scenes depicting devastating explosions and mysterious happenings, serving as a reference point for creating stories blending science fiction with historical mysteries. Certain blockbuster films have drawn indirect inspiration, incorporating similar enigmatic disasters into their plots to heighten the intrigue. Conspiracy theories surrounding Tunguska are equally abundant and vivid. Some suggest that it was a covert experiment with advanced technology, perhaps a weapon testing gone terribly wrong. Others speculate it was evidence of an attempt to harness free energy from the Earth's atmosphere, linking it back to the controversial work of inventor Nikola Tesla. Though largely debunked, these ideas continue to fascinate and generate discussion. Beyond entertainment, the Tunguska explosion has also found its place in academic discourse and pseudo-scientific speculation. It has been referenced in debates about existential risks, such as the dangers posed by asteroid impacts. This intersection of historical mystery and scientific concern has elevated Tunguska from a singular event to a cautionary tale about humanity's vulnerability to cosmic forces. Its legacy in popular culture is a testament to its enduring mystique, demonstrating how an unresolved mystery can capture the collective curiosity of generations. As we continue exploring history's most bizarre events, we turn our gaze to a chilling and perplexing tragedy, the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident, where a group of hikers met an unexplained and haunting fate in the snowy wilderness. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we revisit the haunting mystery of the Sodder children's disappearance, uncovering new clues that have emerged over the decades. This tragic event from 1945, where 5 children seemingly vanished without a trace during a house fire in West Virginia, continues to perplex investigators and fuel speculation. Decades after the fire, the Sodder family received strange and cryptic messages that reignited their hopes. One of the most intriguing pieces of evidence came in the form of a photograph mailed to the family in the 1960s. The photo depicted a young man resembling one of the missing Sodder boys, accompanied by a bizarre note referencing their names. Though the photograph has never been conclusively verified, it deepened the family's belief that their children might have survived. Furthermore, independent investigations have uncovered inconsistencies in the original case. Witnesses from that fateful night later reported seeing unidentified individuals near the Sodder home and even suggested that the fire may have been deliberately set. Adding to the mystery, it was noted that no human remains were conclusively identified in the debris, leading experts to question whether the children perished in the blaze at all. Over the years, various accounts from individuals across the country claim to have encountered people matching the descriptions of the missing Sodder children, but none have provided definitive answers. Despite these tantalizing clues, the case remains unsolved, resting at the intersection of tragedy and conspiracy. As we move forward, the story of the Sodder children reminds us that some mysteries refuse to be laid to rest, leaving behind questions that will linger for generations to come. Looking ahead, we now shift our attention to another peculiar and awe-inspiring phenomenon: the curious tales of animals, fish, or even frogs raining down from the sky, challenging the boundaries of belief and science alike. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us delve further into the story of the Great London Beer Flood and its unique mark on British culture. This surreal tragedy of 1814, where a massive vat of beer burst and flooded the streets of London, has lived on in the public imagination in intriguing ways. While the event itself was unquestionably devastating, claiming lives and causing significant destruction, it has also been woven into the fabric of British humor and storytelling. Over the years, satirical plays, comedic sketches, and even pub trivia have referenced the beer flood with a blend of incredulity and dark humor. It has become a peculiar symbol of the unpredictable nature of life, where something as seemingly innocent as beer could unleash chaos. The incident also illustrates a distinct characteristic of British culture, the ability to find wit and irony even in the face of misfortune. Beyond comedy, the Great London Beer Flood has found its place in academic discussions and historical retrospectives, often used as an example of how industrial safety regulations and urban planning have evolved. Scholars have noted how this event highlighted the dangers of poorly constructed industrial facilities in densely populated areas and emphasized the need for stricter oversight. Interestingly, London's pubs and breweries occasionally invoke the beer flood as part of their lore, turning it into a quirky marketing gimmick to attract patrons interested in the city's peculiar history. Some even hold annual events to commemorate both the tragedy and the resilience of the Londoners who endured it. This balance of reverence and levity reflects a broader human tendency to process bizarre and tragic events by embedding them into cultural narratives, ensuring they are neither forgotten nor lost in the annals of time. As we leave this unforgettable chapter behind, we move on to yet another incredible moment in history, turning our gaze to the skies where startling lights over Phoenix in 1997 sparked one of the most widely witnessed and controversial UFO sightings in modern times. Now turning to the Phoenix lights of 1997, this event remains one of the most compelling and widely debated UFO sightings in modern history, with thousands of witnesses reporting their experiences. On the evening of March 13th, the skies above Phoenix, Arizona, became the stage for a mysterious series of lights that moved in a distinct V-shaped formation. Eyewitnesses described the lights as enormous, silent, and eerily synchronized, unlike anything they had ever seen before. One resident, a retired pilot, recounted how the sheer size of the formation blocked out the stars as it glided overhead, a detail echoed by numerous others who witnessed the same phenomenon. Another local described feeling an overwhelming sense of awe and unease, as if they were witnessing something truly otherworldly. Reports came not just from Phoenix but also from surrounding areas, creating a patchwork of consistent and corroborating accounts. Astonishingly, these testimonies came from people of all walks of life: police officers, doctors, teachers, and even then Governor Fife Symington, who later admitted to observing the lights himself. Despite their diverse backgrounds, many witnesses shared uncannily similar descriptions, emphasizing the massive scale and unexplainable nature of the lights. This consistency across hundreds of accounts has fueled ongoing debates and investigations, as skeptics and believers alike attempt to unravel the mystery. While some attribute the phenomenon to military flares or experimental aircraft, many witnesses remain unconvinced, insisting that what they saw defied conventional explanations. The Phoenix lights stand as a fascinating example of how a single night can yield countless perspectives, each contributing to one of the most enduring mysteries of our time. As we continue exploring these strange chapters of history, let us venture next into a tale of survival and tragedy, where the sudden eruption of a lake in 1986 unleashed an invisible but deadly force on the unsuspecting residents of a small African village. Moving forward, the story of the Green Children of Woolpit has inspired modern scientific theories that attempt to unravel the mystery behind their peculiar appearance and baffling claims. One of the most prominent interpretations suggests that their green skin could have been caused by a condition known as chloroses, a form of severe malnutrition that can result in a greenish tint to the skin due to anemia. This theory aligns with the children's account of surviving on a diet of beans before being discovered, as such a limited diet may have contributed to their physical state. Once introduced to a more varied and nutritious diet, their skin reportedly returned to a more normal hue, further supporting this medical explanation. Another interpretation considers the possibility of cultural misunderstandings. Some researchers believe the children may have been Flemish immigrants fleeing persecution during a turbulent period in England's history. In this context, their strange language could simply have been Flemish, unfamiliar to the villagers of Woolpit. Similarly, their unusual clothing might have reflected the attire of their homeland rather than something otherworldly. The idea of being from St. Martin's Land could be interpreted as a child's description of a distant forested region, distorted through storytelling and the passage of time. These scientific interpretations, though grounded in plausible explanations, add a new layer of intrigue to the story, offering rational possibilities without entirely dispelling its sense of mystery. Nevertheless, the Green Children of Woolpit continue to occupy a space between folklore and history, inviting both speculation and wonder. As we leave behind this tale of mysterious wanderers, our journey takes us next to an event of biblical proportions, where animals quite literally rain from the sky, defying the bounds of nature and logic. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, we dive into modern cases of animals raining from the sky, proving that such extraordinary events are not confined to the pages of history. For example, in the year 1974, inhabitants of a village in Yoro, Honduras, reported a peculiar phenomenon where fish rained down during heavy storms. This event, now known as the Lluvia de Peces or Rain of Fish, has since become an annual occurrence celebrated with a local festival. Scientific investigations suggest that the phenomenon could be the result of waterspouts or strong winds lifting fish from nearby water bodies and depositing them inland, although definitive evidence remains elusive. Another modern instance occurred in the year 2011 in Arkansas, United States, when thousands of birds mysteriously fell from the sky on New Year's Eve. Wildlife experts speculated that fireworks might have startled the birds during flight, causing disorientation and fatal collisions. Similarly, in the year 2015, motorists in Goulburn, Australia, witnessed spiders raining down, blanketing fields with cobwebs. Experts explained this as a behavior called ballooning, where spiders release silk threads to catch the wind and travel long distances, sometimes resulting in a surreal fall from the sky. These cases reveal how natural phenomena, though rare and astonishing, often have scientific explanations rooted in weather patterns, animal behavior, or environmental factors. Yet, such events continue to fascinate us, blending science with a sense of wonder. And as we transition from these skies filled with mystery, we now journey to a chilling tale of an alpine misadventure that became one of the most perplexing cases in modern history. With the next phase of the journey in sight, we revisit the chilling Dyatlov Pass incident with a focus on recent breakthroughs that aim to illuminate this decades-old mystery. In recent years, advanced scientific research has provided fresh insights into the tragic deaths of 9 hikers in the Ural Mountains in the year 1959. One significant development came in the year 2021 when Russian researchers revisited the avalanche theory, long considered a plausible explanation. By employing sophisticated computer simulations based on real-world snow behavior and data from mountain environments, they demonstrated how a delayed avalanche could have struck the group's tent. This possibility aligns with injuries like rib fractures and skull damage sustained by some members, injuries consistent with heavy snow impact. Another intriguing theory revisits infrasound, a type of low-frequency sound that scientists have suggested could have been produced by strong winds resonating across the mountain's unique topography. This natural phenomenon may have triggered panic or disorientation in the hikers, leading to their fatal decisions on that frigid night. Yet not everyone is convinced, and alternative theories persist. Among these is the speculation of military involvement, with some pointing to records of secret weapons testing near the area during that time, though no conclusive evidence has ever emerged. There is also the enduring question of why the group fled their tent in sub-zero temperatures without proper clothing. This peculiar detail continues to stoke debate among experts and enthusiasts alike. Despite these advancements, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains a haunting enigma, its blend of human tragedy and unsolved mystery captivating imaginations across the globe. As we leave the icy slopes of the Urals, our journey takes us back to a different time and place, where an eerie tale of a young boy emerges from the shadows of history, unraveling yet another puzzle of human existence. Moving forward, the Manhattan Beach mystery takes on an even darker twist as modern investigations have linked this peculiar discovery to unsolved crimes and sinister possibilities. The tuxedo-clad skeleton found in a sealed barrel on that Californian beach in 1913 has drawn comparisons to various cold cases, with some investigators theorizing that it may connect to organized crime activity during the early 20th century. The meticulous way the barrel was sealed and hidden suggests deliberate intent, fueling speculation that this was no ordinary murder, but an execution meant to send a message or cover up deeper secrets. Intriguingly, forensic advancements have allowed researchers to analyze remnants of the skeleton, offering potential clues about the individual's age, health, and possible cause of death. Some experts believe the victim may have been involved in a high-stakes gambling ring or business dispute gone awry, scenarios consistent with the violent underworld activities of the time. Additionally, parallels have been drawn to a series of disappearances in the Los Angeles area during that era, leading to speculation that this unidentified man could be part of a broader pattern of criminal acts. Among the eeriest theories is the idea that the victim might have been a whistleblower or someone who crossed powerful figures, silenced in a way meant to erase their existence entirely. While no definitive answers have emerged, continued interest in this mystery has inspired true crime enthusiasts and amateur sleuths to revisit archives and records, hoping to piece together the fragments of a life cut tragically short. As the mysteries of Manhattan Beach linger, the chilling tale of this unidentified victim serves as a reminder of the secrets history often keeps buried. And now, from the shores of California, we travel across time to delve into yet another inexplicable riddle, where a persistent, low-frequency sound torments a community, leaving science and speculation in its wake. As we draw the curtain on this whirlwind journey through 50 of history's most bizarre and unbelievable events, one thing becomes clear: the past is far stranger than fiction. From mysterious plagues that compelled people to dance until collapse, to inexplicable sounds that defy scientific explanation, and from uncanny natural disasters to perplexing disappearances, each tale serves as a reminder of how much we have yet to understand about our own world. These stories not only captivate our imagination, but also reflect our innate curiosity and drive to uncover the truth hidden within the folds of time. They remind us that history is not just a collection of dates and facts, but a treasure trove of mysteries waiting to be explored, questioned, and perhaps one day solved. So as we wrap up, we invite you to join this exploration further. What other historical oddities have you come across that leave you scratching your head or questioning their reality? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the strange and the unexplained, do not forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more incredible content like this. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown.